What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again with the next Theorycraft Thursday video for y'all today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. The Theorycraft Thursday series is a series dedicated, based on the theories and thoughts on my community. As you guys know, I'm the founder of Epic Fail, and within that group, we have a channel called Epic Fail Evolution, where we theorycraft upon various things PvE and PvP related. This time around, we've had the new units for a couple of weeks. I wanted to take it back, to some of those old school units as I was talking about a couple of weeks back, but now that we have some of these new units, people are doing some more summonings. I wanted to take a time to make a specific video on the Harp Magicians as well as the Dice Magicians, and just kind of give my opinions on the pros and cons of it, what my members have been finding out with regards to it, and the potential rune builds as to how to go about using this one. So the first one we got for you today is Harmonia, the Fire Harp Magician. Let's take a look at his skill set real quick, and then we'll kind of discuss any pros and cons that we got for this one. First skill is going to provide that attack bar manipulation with a small chance and a sleep with a small chance. Second skill, we got a group heal by 20% and then immunity for one turn. And then, of course, Unwanted Harmony, being able to manipulate the enemy with your ally that has the lowest HP. So after it's evened out, you're going to be able to decrease the HP by 50% on the enemy and then recover 15 HP on the target. So, kind of looking at it from a broad perspective, it's an interesting kit, but I can't really see where it's going to fit in the meta today. If you're an early game player, this is definitely one that I'm sure it can be kind of fun to use, but I can't see it used all too often in the mid to late stages of the game. I think we have too many units currently that kind of overpower it. When we look at that second skill, the group heal with a 20% of the immunity is nice, but it doesn't come with a cleanse. And as you guys know, one of the early units out there that we've had for quite some time, Delphoid, the Wind Undying, has that similar skill, but it can also cleanse. In addition to having its own cooldown reset. I find that more valuable in the current meta right now with regards to some of those Theomars and those Pernas and stuff like that. But obviously, if you're looking to play around with this one, it is nice to have that kind of group heal and immunity if you don't have any kind of unit with immunity. But I think there's a couple other better choices out there. Now, needless to say, when it comes to the Unwanted Harmony, this is kind of cool when it comes to PvP. I mean, the pro about it is that it kind of reminds you on that what is it called, like that, it kind of has that Chisoon kind of a feel to it, where it's able to manipulate the HP not only of one of your units but the enemy without worrying about like a HP disturb or whatnot. So that being said, it is a still very, very situational skill, and has to be with a high cooldown time. So even if you go ahead and skill it out, it's going to be down to a four turn cooldown. It is going to provide another way of healing one of your units that might be a little low in addition to the second skill. But again, considering the fact that this particular skill itself, it's kind of its bread and butter. These other skills here with regards to other units, there's going to be a couple other units out there that can provide similar or even better heals in that matter with regards to their overall kit. So overall, not too excited about this unit when it comes to the current meta as it is today. That being said, if we're talking about the potential rune builds, it is a support based monster that can provide a little bit of damage on the first skill, and is obviously based on a support based unit providing those percentage based heals. So I would have to probably recommend early on like a swift based set, if you want to take advantage of the speed, getting the speed that you need without being so rune dependent on having a 5-star rune or better when it comes to that speed slot too. Swift energy, swift focus is obviously good. Why would we recommend focus? Because we want to assist the tempting dream to go ahead and land those attack bar manipulations into sleep, so that we can cause that turn denial. And then of course, just you want to be relatively tanky. The tankiness is not going to help obviously in the damage at all, but it is a support based unit, so there's no reason to make it any squishier than it needs to be. So swift energy, swift focus on this one. Speed, HP. Early on, you may not have a really strong speed rune. The 5-star speed runes are going to be the ones to kind of go for after that because of the scaling when you power it up. 4-star speed runes I'm not a big fan of. I would honestly probably run like a triple HP early on if you don't have that 5-star rune, and just take advantage of a swift set to get yourself a little bit of speed. But as you progress, work on increasing the speed of this unit, as well as potentially putting it on a violent set so you can reduce the cooldown times of this particular skill. So skill 2 gets reduced to 3 turns, and then skill 3 is going to be reduced to 4 turns when it's maxed out. But that's pretty much it on this particular unit. We'll take a look at the win one next. Let's see, on this win one here, similar skill to the first, right? All of them that we got here. And of course the second skill, similar as well. Now the only difference on this one here is the incoming damage that may cause your ally to die and instantly gain in a turn, the Salvation Song. This is pretty unique, right? We have a way of providing that basically kind of like that death prevention, right? We have that, that Theomar's kind of approach where regardless of if they provide that fatal blow, it's not going to kill the opponent. It's going to be able to proc this skill so that we can make sure that your ally doesn't die and then give you another turn so that you can go ahead and heal. From what my community has gathered, it is a very, very unique skill. However, it can be countered by multi-hits. So if you're using like a Theomar's against this unit, you can use its multi-hit ability to proc the skill, but obviously it's going to finish the skill and essentially knock the opponent out. So again, is this one going to make or break the meta as it is right now? Probably not. I think it's pretty unique to try. I definitely like its kit overall if you're playing around with it on the offensive side, but I can't see this one used too much on the defense for the fact that passive can get exploited. And that's the cool thing about it. It is a passive, right? You don't have to worry about, it casting and whatnot. It's going to proc right when your opponent, right when you need it dies. But that being said, it is still exploitable, so you got to definitely watch out for that. Again, with this particular unit here, if we're talking about early game, swift energy, swift focus once again. And then, of course, late game, I like a violent set on this one. Violent Will would be the recommendation on this one right here. Obviously, this one here is going to awaken into speed, so you're definitely going to get a lot of value out of that swift set early on if you do run a swift set on here. But however, running a speed HP format on this particular one is going to be really nice. It's going to be a little bit easier to get that speed that you need to be successful in PvP. So overall, I like the overall kit of the unit, but again, talking about that second skill comparison to that Delphoid, I like the cleansing approach. We don't have that cleanse in that aspect, but either way, it is pretty unique, and I can see a little bit more value of it when it comes to the offensive side, and you can pick and choose the opponents that you utilize this with, okay? On the next one here, before we will talk about the light and dark briefly, but I kind of wanted to leave, out of the 3 main ones, I kind of wanted to leave the water one for last, and that's because the water one for me, I think initially a lot of people thought like Triana was going to kind of be that showstopper, right? The one to watch when it came to the Harp Magician. I might even mention it to it, but after really considering, what I've seen, and of course, what my community has seen, I personally feel that if you do decide to play around with, one out of the 3, especially in that PvP aspect, then this one would be the one to go for. Now, the reason why I like this one, when I think about units overall, like, when it comes to, should I build or should I not, right? Especially at this particular stage of the game, is what can it provide me? What can it do to assist me with regards to either PvP or PvE progression, right? When I think about the early game concept, of what people are trying to do, right? We get into that Cairo Central, we get that Giants B10 team done, and then we start making our way into TOA with some of those core units that we utilize in that Giants B10, with addition to a couple other units that we can either fuse or just find over time, farmable units, right? When I think about this particular kit, I'm really, really excited for the PvE aspect because of what it provides, and then of course, as you will see in this kit, later on, how it can be valuable in PvE, so PvP, right? So we have a lot of pros in this one here, not too many cons. First one here, Tempting Dream, we already know about this one, the attack bar manipulation and the sleep. Second skill, being able to, is providing an AoE sleep for 1 turn and then continuous damage for 2 turns, right? So we have that water mermaid feel, we have that like poor man's Hathor kind of a feel with this skill, with additional continuous damage, okay? Last but not least, distorted healing music, being able to sleep all enemies for 1 turn again, and creates a shield equivalent to 30% of the damage on all allies for 2 turns. So not only does this sleep, but you can do damage, you can sleep, and then provide a shield, right, based on the damage you do. It just, there's so much going on with this kit, that it's just like, wow, you definitely have to consider, possibly using this one, right? And so when I think about the early game, and again, the recommendation rune-wise early game doesn't really change. Swift energy, swift, focus to assist with landing the skills. The cool thing about this is that early game, you're starting to work into that. After the Giants B10, you started working at TOA, and maybe as you're transitioning to, maybe this is one of the first, units you pull. Can this be useful? Most definitely. Having 2 skills that's going to be able to sleep, and then of course one that's going to do damage and then sleep, is pretty unique. I think when you're coming up in the progression, you don't need to rely on units to CC your teams. But, there definitely are going to be some boss stages that I feel that people may struggle against. So having the opportunity of a unit like this to go ahead and deny the opponent the turn by sleeping them, it's going to be pretty strong. Now let's take it back to the rune builds, kind of moving into this. So we talked about the Swift in this one, being like an early game. However, some people have made the argument, oh, you need to put this on Despair because Despair is OP, right? Okay, let's go ahead and get that blanket statement out there. Any kind of unit that has double AoE is generally, especially with some kind of an attack based kind of hit, is generally recommend for Despair. Charlotte's a fun one with Despair. Obviously, even though Lucian is not one, you can make an argument for a Despair based Lucian depending on how you're trying to use it. But a lot of 2 AoE based units, damage dealing based units, are generally recommended on Despair because you get a lot of value out of the Despair set, being able to have a 25% chance to stun the opponent regardless if there's no accuracy resistance check. It's just a straight 25% chance. What people don't understand is distorted healing music hits the opponent. Nightmare Melody does not hit the unit. It does not do any actual damage when it is applied. Therefore, you're not going to get any value out of a Despair set, okay? Obviously, if you are just wanting to have that additional chance to stun proc, and with regards to the sleep, sure, that could be valuable when it comes to those TOA normal boss stages. But again, I feel like as you progress in the game, if you're really, really struggling in the majority of the levels climbing up on there, it's not so much, do you have Despair or whatnot. It kind of comes down to the overall runes that you have on your units. As you guys have seen time and time again, people recommend tons of farmable based units out there that can get the job done easy mode. But you just have to, you have to provide the runes. So obviously if you don't have the runes, then you need to take a step back, get back into that, Giants B10 or Dragon B10, do what you got to do to get those runes. You know what I'm saying? So going fast forwarding now to late game PvP, we already talked about early game, Swift Energy, Swift Focus. Late game, I still like a Violent Will on this particular unit. You can make an argument for Swift Will if you have some kind of a combination that's going to allow you to, either get that first turn, or you got to set up in such a sequence that you want to, use some kind of a unit that's going to either remove harmful effects, beneficial effects on the opponent, and then allow you to cast, either one of these skills, these second or third base skills, so that you can, deny the opponent the turn and then go ahead and pick and choose which one you want to attack. When we're comparing this to Hathor, 2 AoE skills, but Hathor's skill, sleeps for 2 turns and reduces the attack bar. The cool thing about this one is even though it doesn't sleep for 2 turns, you still have 2 AoE based skills, right? And so if you utilize the third skill to hit the opponent and land that sleep, the second skill can be applied again without worrying about proccing the other units out of the sleep, right? Because this does no damage, so it's not going to awaken anybody that is sleeping. It's just going to apply the continuous damage effect similar to the Water and Dark Grim Reapers. So this is why I feel out of the 3 Harp Magicians, this could be the one that could be potentially most useful, especially if you are kind of keeping up with the current meta when it comes to RTA. As you progress in RTA, there's a lot of value in units that can provide turn denial, right? Units that can provide turn denial is extremely strong. So having a unit like this, even though it's not a complete stun, they are sleeps, it still gives you a little bit of a safeguard so you can mix and match your team in order to focus down particular key units that are the foundation of these opponents' teams, okay? So that's pretty much it, guys, for the water, fire, and wind ones. Definitely my showstopper here is going to be Sonnet, the Water Harp Magician. In addition to having that the skill set, you have that awakening resistance, right? This is similar to the fire one as well, being able to awaken to resistance, but I like the water one the best out of all of one for that RTA potential. Resistance, when you're focusing on all these specific stats or whatnot that you're trying to get, resistance can sometimes be a little bit hard to get, and so having the ability to add that additional resistance, giving your team an opportunity to resist those those stuns, those buff removals that people kind of bring, this is going to add a lot of value to this unit and make it a little bit easier to rune up come when you start PvPing with this unit. Okay. We'll take a quick look at the light and dark, because again, the rune builds will really not change. Overall, it is a very unique kill. The light one here has a similar skill to the water one here, being able to put the enemies to sleep. And then this next one here has that random beneficial effect that can be removed on the enemy every turn, and then put the enemy to sleep for one turn. So obviously, this is really used because everyone's a big fan of the immunity when it comes to RTA. Some people are stacking double immunity so that when you try to ban it in the real-time arena, even if you try to ban one, they're still going to have some kind of immunity. So this is definitely a game changer if you're fortunate enough to get it. That being said, it's still very rare, so I didn't want to get too in-depth to it. But if I were to make any recommendations, again, early on, swift energy, swift focus, it's not going to change. Late game, I still like a violent will on it. I don't think the violent will is really going to change for any of the light and dark units out there. But again, unless you're trying to get the first turn and utilize some of these units' skill set, I still like a violent will overall. Okay. Third one here, like the light one here, if you saw, they both are going to be awakening into that attack speed, so that's pretty unique. And then of course the dark one here has that healing music similar to the fire and wind. And then that last skill here, being able to switch the current attack bar and HP with the enemy, excluding the boss, with another ally of the target. So this can't be resisted and ignores the immunity. Obviously, this is huge when it comes to the PvP, because everyone is stacking immunity, right? Everyone's trying to prevent this. But when we talk about the potential rune builds of this unit, it's really not going to change it all too well. The good thing about this particular unit is that, as you can see right now, it is a very well-rounded stats when it comes to the 6-star here, running 12,000 HP, 725 defense. So you can really make this effective HP of this unit really darn strong. I love its overall stats here. Swift energy, swift focus, early game, if you're lucky enough to pull this LD score after kill Paimon. But again, late game, violent will all day, speed, HP, to get it as tanky as possible. We can make an argument for going with a defensive rune, because you're going to get a lot of value out of having a high base defense. But keep in mind that the goal overall is to try to get the most well-rounded stats you can possible. So take it for what it's worth. As this particular unit doesn't have any skills that are based upon its max HP, similar to the water one here. Okay, so again, just try to make it as fast as tanky as possible, and then if you know that you're not gonna be getting that first turn, make sure that you got that will all day. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys, for this quick recommendation on the Harp Magicians. This is just our community's recommendation. Keep in mind that there's many ways to go ahead and get the job done. Please feel free to put your rune recommendations and the way how you use your Harp Magicians in the comment section down below, so that we can be sure to share that information and help the community grow with regards to their progression. Okay, that is it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in for this episode of the Theorycraft Thursday. It's your boy Childish with ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we will see you next time, guys. We're out.